Welcome back to the Miscellaneous Debris Podcast with me, your host, the Mad Chatter, Ryan MK. Do not forget to follow me on the Twitters, on the Grams, at RMK Madness. That's right. And on YouTube in video form. Do not forget, some of you may be just watching. I mean, listening too. But not just listening and watching. You know what I'm saying. So welcome back. Thank you for joining me once again. Hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. Mine wasn't bad. Wasn't bad. Did a lot of rearranging of the house. I know I've mentioned this before, but it's quite insane to me how much stuff you accumulate. And then you get rid of a bunch of stuff, and you still have too much stuffs. We go through this constantly. I can't tell you how many times we just have this wall of totes, plastic totes, with shit in them. Not literal shit, you know what I mean, items. And it seems we go through them a few times a year, and the piles of stuff we get rid of are huge. And yet, we have to put stuff from inside the house in the tote. We end up with the same amount of fucking totes. No matter what we do, we can't get rid of enough stuff. It's insane. But also, while rearranging and moving stuff and getting rid of stuff and all of that around the house, had a big NFL Sunday, week 1 of NFL Sunday. And it was a blast. Now, there were some injuries, but not quite as many as I thought there would be with the lack of training camp and no preseason. Obviously, still some. But definitely a little bit less than I anticipated. And I gotta say, out of all the sports, with football, I didn't really notice the whole no fan thing. I really didn't. It sounds like most of them had some sort of, fake crowd noise pumping in. But for the most part, nothing. Didn't bother me at all. I found it interesting, all the old faces, new places. Cam Newton for the Patriots. I love it. Brady on the Bucks. Ooh, didn't go so well. First game in the new... Father Time might be getting you, Tom Brady. Because it's getting Drew Brees. That's why they got Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. Good job, Brian. Why don't you just start off with totally butchering a dude's fucking name? Like, that was bad. Totally worthy of that, because that was bad. Yeah, football was fun. Old faces, new places. Oh, Phillip Rivers for the Colts. That was another. Todd Gurley, Melvin Gordon, they're switching teams. Those were two big running backs from a few years back. Find new teams. They're away from the teams that drafted him. Gurley now in Atlanta. Melvin Gordon right here in Denver. Didn't have too bad of a game. A debut. Not great. Not terrible. And also, I had to pause my football on Sunday and my rearranging to watch the end of the Nuggets game. I damn near forgot about it. They were down by 19 points, stormed back to win the game and force Game 7. Now, this is exactly what they did to the Utah Jazz, in the first round of the playoffs. As a Denver resident and a Nuggets fan, I am quite excited for Game 7. Now, no team in NBA history has ever came down 2 series in a row, being down 3-1. They never came back 2 times in a row, 2 series in a row. I hope the Nuggets do it, and then we would go on to play the Lakers in the Western Conference Final. It sounds amazing. Stanley Cups. Yeah, we're off to a great start today, dude. Good job, Brian. Stanley Cup playoffs are still rolling. The Stars win. It's 4 games. So that means they're on to the final. Tampa Bay is currently up 3-1 over the New York Islanders. There's a good chance Tampa Bay takes that. They just look like the better team. So if you ask me, we're getting a Tampa Bay, Dallas finals. And as much as I hate to root for Dallas because they took out my Avalanche, hey, they got some old timers on that team, such as a Joe Pavelski, a few other guys. And you know what? I wouldn't be upset if they got themselves a cup. So let's go Stars. That's what I'm going to say. Let's go Stars the rest of the cup. Let's go. Meanwhile, the country's still burning.
My universe is doomed! Doomed!
Record temperatures. They're appearing around the globe. A bunch of people still don't believe in climate change, even though a chunk of the western half of the United States is on fucking fire like it's never been before. And a large chunk of ice broke off the large ice glacier known as 79N. Now, this is Greenland's big-ass ice shelf, and it was about 42 square miles. Broke off. A chunk. Broke off. Yeah. But you're right, people. There's no global warming. It's all a hoax. Conspiracy theories are fucking ruining everything now. They ruined it for me. I used to like, you know what? We've done a pod on conspiracy theories. Next pod, we're hitting that shit again. Because you know what? I actually enjoy some conspiracy theories. But now, everybody nowadays has a fucking conspiracy theory for every goddamn thing there is. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Hamburgers must be taken from some sort of alien cow that the government isn't telling about us, and they're doing this to control our brains through the hamburgers. Yes, we eat the hamburgers, they infect us with the alien beef, and then it's used to control our minds from some sort of unknown source. For real, I've really enjoyed a few conspiracy theories. I like to talk about some shit now and then, and I can't do it anymore. I just can't do it. Even one that I think could have some credence to it, that there is some sort of world order trying to control the whole world. None of that shit, and working in unison with reptilian alien, none of that shit would surprise me. Maybe I sound like a wacko, but none of that shit would surprise me, because I firmly believe there's way too much evidence out there that there's not life elsewhere, intelligent life elsewhere, and that it has been here, or has stayed here, or whatever, is monitoring or something. It's there. I firmly believe it. So it wouldn't be a surprise that the elites of planet Earth would somehow be in alignment with some alien species. I'm not saying it's happening. I'm saying it's possible. Now, the problem is, this theory has totally been trashed for me, because now all the Trumpers believe in this shit, and they all believe Trump is here to fucking save us. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Excuse me just 1 second. Good God. Good God, these fucking people. Oh, good God. Largest ice shelf in the Arctic. This Greenland ice shelf. Huge chunk just broke off. Temperatures are up 3 degrees Celsius in the past 40 years in that region. But yes, climate change is a hoax. Yeah, that's fucking right. I could just... And pertaining to that, this David Legates, I don't even know how you... I'm not even going to spend the fucking time learning to pronounce his name. That's too much respect for this dude. He's a very big climate change skeptic, denier, etc. And he was appointed by the Trump administration Deputy Assistant Secretary of Commerce for the environmental observation and prediction. Now, this is within the National Oceanic and Atmosphere Association. And basically, this could really affect the funds that go to climate change programs, to studying them, putting in safeguards, things like that. So in other words, Trump's putting in people yet again, just like with the post office, putting in people to fuck up the post office. Now he's putting in people to, keep us from working on climate change. And, a lot of these fucking assholes, I get it if they, I don't personally understand. That's not my moral code. That's not how I roll. But I can understand how greedy fuckers would be more worried about money than the planet. But when does it get to a point when your old ass doesn't have that much longer to live, and you got to start thinking about the future of your kids and your grandkids, and you're gonna ignore that shit to make more money? To do what? The last decade maybe of your life? I don't get it. I don't. Furthermore, Trump's in Cali speaking on climate change. And he's in this group, and this guy asks him, I agree with you, there needs to be better forest management and things like that, but we also have to, I believe, look at the fact that temperatures keep rising in the region and blah, 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 blah. And Trump says, it'll start cooling. You just watch. What the fuck are you talking about? Now? For the fall? The fall's coming. So yeah, it's going to cool down. You fucking asshole. He also said, when he's talking about, science would disagree, and Trump said, I don't think science knows, actually. Okay, that's just completely ignoring a bunch of scientific research. But okay. Fucking Trump. I don't think science knows, actually. Oh, but you fucking do? Mr. Trumpity Dumpity, Mr. Trumpty Dumpty, you fucking asshole. You don't know shit. But you have the nerve to attack Biden's mental acuity? You. The hypocrisy knows no bounds. Speaking of, let's just get into the Trump.
You suck, you jackass.
Yeah. That's Trump for you. Jackass. Now, remember, oh, by the way, welcome to this section of the pod, this segment of the podcast that I refer to as the Trump dump, where I just do a little dumping on Trump because, let's face it, as much as I'd like to, talk about random shit on this podcast, with everything going on in the country and, the world, it's kind of hard to stray from those topics. And I like to talk about other things, but there's so much that's so important right now, we have to continue to talk about it, and I try and make it fun and throw in other shit. But we can't just ignore this stuff and be all la-di-da talking about movies and shit. You going to the fucking movies? I'm not going to the fucking movies. What the fuck is going to the movies? I know some people are going to the fucking movies, but it ain't going to be fucking me going to the fucking movies. Okay, now, so back to Trump and dumping on him. Remember when he sent in military and shit, his Gestapo, because he was wanting to save Portland, to help Portland, right? But now that it's on fire, now that Portland and Oregon's on fire, you got nothing. Except for, just wait, it'll cool down. And I also learned, in Portland, a bunch of their fucking firefighting planes are missing because they've been sent over to the fucking Middle East for, I can't even remember what I fucking read about. Is it some training exercises? I don't know. Oh no, for transporting troops. That's what they were using them for. Boy, Oregon could sure use those fuckers right about now. They were going to save Portland from the rioters. See, this is what's going on. He sends all his troops in California, Oregon, and he's like, these fucking Democratic, states, they can't keep their shit under control, so I'm gonna help the people. I'm gonna save them because their Democratic governors aren't doing enough. And now that they're all on fire, he's just letting it fucking burn. Like, he's willing to say fuck off to the people who didn't vote. This is fascist fucking behavior. Dictator type behavior. Refusing to aid a state because they're Democratic, because they're against him. What president in history? I mean, if you don't see where this is going, should he win the election, you got some fucking waking up to do. Before Cali, he had a rally in Nevada, thousands in a packed indoor building, went against the state's ban, pissed off the guy. I mean, what a fucking dick. And he's buddies with Putin, so he's learning all these different tricks to fuck over democracy and fuck over people and keep himself in power as long as he can, because that's what fucking Putin's done. Everybody keeps worrying about China. And don't get me wrong, China's something to worry about. And what they're doing in China, and it's not just Hong Kong, everything they're doing in China. The Uyghur camp, like, there is some crazy, inhumane shit going on in China. They're a fucking problem. I don't disagree with that. To act as though Russia is not. And to ignore Trump's association with him because of that, I just don't. Peter Strzok, former FBI agent, part of the Mueller report, he believes Trump is clearly compromised by the Russians. He says a large part of it is lots of governments. They can contain, contain's not the right word. They can gain this leverage, basically, over people, companies, things like that, through financial entanglements. For example, somebody gives you some money for something, but that money is dirty, or it's in fact a bribe, or the money is involved in some sort of illegal way. These are all things that if Trump has some sort of financial entanglements with Russia due to his corporations or maybe even the campaign, hey, shit, Russia's got plenty of leverage over him. So of course he's not going to be calling him out and shit like that. Pay the fuck attention, people! Like, it should be pretty obvious. If you know enough about history and you ignore the mainstream bullshit and really dig in deep and look into things, it seems pretty obvious what direction this could go should Trump win. He's just following Putin's lead. He continues to put yes men. He won't have anybody around him that tells him his shit might not be a good idea. No. This Michael Caputo, he was appointed Assistant Secretary of Public Affairs at the Department of Health and Human Services. Sorry, now I'm starting to stumble because I'm trying to get all these fucking shits right. But this dude has no health or science background. And now he's making all these outlandish claims that scientists in general, particularly those at the CDC, have just turned into political animals, and they're working for the Democrats, and they're just trying to make Trump look bad. They're killing people by not, doing this or that, the vaccine, things like that. And it's all to stop President Trump from being reelected. He also claims that there's a bunch of groups training, Antifa groups training to begin attacking Trump supporters. Have we not seen most of the violence has been started either by the police slash military, or right-wing activists. Not all, most. Pay attention. Fucking pay attention. And then this Caputo dude, him and other Trump aides have worked to try and silence Fauci's statements, his public statements about the coronavirus. Like, as of recent, Dr. Fauci disagreed with Trump that we're turning the corner. Fuck no, we're not turning. Next month is October. It's October. Flu season. There's also a new anti-Trump ad out, which is really great. It's really great because it highlights Trump's relationship with Epstein. And in it, there's some pretty sick quotes, remarks, like straight out of the president's mouth himself. You can hear them. Some pretty gross stuff. Some pretty gross pictures. I never had any doubt what a sick dude this was. But you shouldn't after that. But Trumpers come to his defense, and it's funny. The big thing they say is, what about Biden? You're okay with Biden? You're okay with Biden? Fuck no, I ain't okay with Biden. Lesser of two evils. But for you to sit here and act like you're okay that Trump did it because Biden did it. Yeah, so our guy did it. Yeah, your guy did it too. So whatever. Because your guy did it too. Your guy did it too. So whatever. Like they'll bring up Bill Clinton. He probably did fuck around. Whatever. Not talking about Bill Clinton. I could give two shits about Bill Clinton. We're not talking about Joe Biden. I could give two shits about Joe Biden in most areas in a general sense. I'm going to be voting for him hard. Because, you know what? We can't take 4 more years of Trump. Now, Biden might not do anything great. And he might not be some fantastic president. But he won't fucking kill a lot of us. Like will happen if Trump gets another 4 years. I mean, he's already killed plenty by ignoring the cautions and warnings of this pandemic and instead deciding to try and downplay it to avoid panic, right? Because there's no panic anywhere in the country right now, not at all. Yeah. Great job, Mr. Trump. You've done such a great job. You've done such a great job with this shit. He really does think he does. He pats himself on the back. What? It's insane. Insanity. It's all insane. I mean, we cannot take another 4 years of this motherfucker. I mean, again, look throughout history. Every time, recently I've gone through World War I and World War II docs. Because I'm really into history. At one point in time, I was going to be a history major, so I have a lot of history knowledge under my belt. Particularly, I've mentioned this before, I always found the World Wars fascinating. Everything about it. But there's a lot of crazy shit that leads up to World Wars. And god damn it, if there isn't some familiarity with everything going on with Trump. Not in a good way. But hey, they're going to make America great again. Again.
Game over, man. It's game over.
That is right. Game over time. The end of the pod is near. Hopefully we have a decent week ahead of us, right? I hope so. But you know, this election coming up, folks, here in a couple months, might possibly be the most important of our lifetime. Maybe even more important, the most important in decades. And I would just say, educate yourself. Don't trust everything that Fox News. I mean, that fucking thing. But even CNN, all of it. Because they're not showing everything. You just take it with a grain of salt. Look into shit for yourself. The information is out there. The truth is out there. You can look and find it if you want to take the time. Fact check Trump's own words. The shit he says himself. There are so many lies. And sure, every president lies. Hell, every person pretty much lies. But this guy is nonstop, and lies are putting people in danger, their lives in danger. We cannot afford to stand for this anymore. Him or his fucking groupie supporters. And speaking of them, I do think we should all prepare for some really bad shit to hit the fan in a couple of months. And I say that because the experts right now, they're really cautioning, experts that study right-wing groups, far-right, extreme activist groups. People that study these groups, they expect and they caution for a lot of violence from these groups around election time. Because either Trump's going to win, and they're going to feel vindicated and confident. Another 4 years of a man with their ideals who lets them do what they want. They could go a little apeshit, especially over time post-election. Because as people protest against Trump getting another 4 years, if it were to go down that road, you'd have those Trump supporters right there starting shit. And by way of Trump trying to set this all up so that the only way, in his words, the only way we lose is if the Democrats rig the election. Otherwise, we can't be beat. Wow, such a fucking... Yeah. And, it's because of all this shit, and again, tying this to history and things like that, and you hear the rumblings of people that used to work with Trump and either fell out of favor or they themselves said, no fucking way. And you hear what some of these people say, and they fully expect, man, if Trump wins another 4 years, this country's in so much trouble. He could make some drastic moves, aligning with some bad people post-election. And then really start pushing this. He's already started this fucking patriotic education shit and taking away, like we spoke on the last pod, about taking away the racial sensitivity training and programs like that from federal agencies. Like, it's almost trying to rewrite history in a sense. And if he does win, you have to think, like, hey, all the other countries, they ain't letting us fucking go anywhere as is, thanks to Trump's handling of the pandemic, and maybe that's what he wanted. But if he wins another 4 years, people were fucking stuck here. So be prepared. Be prepared. With that said, let's go ahead and close up shop, and also, hey, don't forget about the COVID again. It's fucking flu season. Okay? And I just read on this recent fucking study. Those that they did some study of I think it was around 300 people. I think 80% wore masks. And they had people, not sure, I can't remember exactly, how the entirety of the test worked. But what it determined was that people who went out and about, shopping, restaurants, theaters, malls, anything really. If you're going out and about, you're twice as likely to get this fucking thing than as if you aren't, which makes sense. But even if you're masking up, because the masks only do so much. And if you run into an anti-masker who happens to have that shit, you could be in a world of trouble. It's like my wife and I talk about it, like we hate even going out the little bit that we do. And I'm going to have to get out and do some working here soon, and that's going to be terrifying. I know people say don't live in fear and all that. Yeah, well, my wife is high risk, number one. And I don't want to risk getting her sick. That's my best fucking friend. And then, second, I mean, this shit's only going to get worse, people. With the flu season coming. We aren't turning a corner. Maybe in some areas of the country things are looking better, but if we keep on the path we are, this is going to be a rough fucking winter, okay? So please, stay home as much as fucking possible. Because this shit, and what if it comes back mutated? Man, we just don't know. We don't know enough. So we got to be as safe as possible. So please, keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. But do have a great week, okay? I know it's been kind of a bummer of an episode because I'm just ranting on Trump, and it seems like the world is just full of doom and gloom, and it's the apocalypse because fucking half the country's on fire, and there's the pandemic. You know, we've been through this. I've talked about it. The world is a chaos, particularly our country. And, doesn't appear slowing down anytime soon. So buckle up, hunker down, get ready for this shit. But in the meantime, try and take some time away to enjoy yourself too, so you don't go fucking crazy, okay? Sports, obviously, if you're into that, I've enjoyed it. And if you're one of those who can't watch sports because of the fucking kneeling, you get the fuck out of here. I literally saw this conversation the other day on Twitter where there was a veteran basically telling everybody else they were pieces of shit for agreeing with kneeling because they didn't fight for our country. Someone mentioned they talked to many of veterans who would disagree with him. He said they must be bots because no, self-respectable veteran would be okay with the kneeling. And then an actual combat veteran got into it and said, actually, this is exactly what we fought for so that these people could protest. And then the first veteran, the obvious Trumper, starts telling him, you forgot what you fucking fought for and all this and shit like that. And I know, I went back I went back to the gloom and doom stuff. All right, sorry. I do apologize. I do. So, but definitely watch some sports, and if you got a problem with the kneeling and the fight for racial equality, go fuck yourself hard. Maybe use a broomstick or perhaps a hot poker if you have a fireplace. That would work just as effectively. Maybe even more so for what I'm looking for. So, yes, go fuck yourself aplenty. Okay. As far as some good stuff for the week, you're going to have your Thursday night football. Bengals at Browns. It's football. But Tuesday, if you like basketball at all, make sure to tune in and root for my Denver Nuggets with me. Let's go. Let's root for the fucking Nuggets. We got to take this shit. Game 7, baby. Let's roll. First team in history to win 2 series in a row, being down 3-1. That would be fantastic. So, that's what I got going on. Sports stuff. And a little more rearranging of the house and more online schooling and all that good stuff. So, yes. So, have a great, great week. madcaps. And for now, I bid you adieu. Much love to everyone. As always, stay vigilant. Stay mad. Oh, I totally forgot. Stay safe. Stay safe. Probably because I've said it a million fucking times over the entire pod. Because the goddamn... Stay safe. Ta-ta for now. Laters.